Alright, after much delay in talking about stupid shit, we are beginning whatever the hell this one's called. The encounter. What's being encountered here?
The
fish.
ship.
Yeah, I guess. So, trying to squeeze this one in, we have a limited amount of time to do this, and then there will unfortunately have to be another break before the next one, and then we will probably still continue to release them very slowly, but we'll see. With this one, I feel like we also wrote basically half the book into our note document, so
Oh, whoopsie.
we'll see how long this one takes. It's probably going to be a long time.
I think they've all been around 3 hours
Yeah.
so far. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, two of them.
Couple quick comments before we get to the book proper. The cover of this features like weird punk Tobias with brown hair when he's described as being blonde, and it's because apparently the like kid that they were using for the photo just dyed his hair like a couple days before they took the photo, and they're just
What an
like, well,
asshole.
shit, all right. And so he ends up looking like he's a little bit like a street punk almost, and it's just not at all his character. It's
He's
really weird.
giving
Um,
the, like, punk character from the Breakfast Club, kinda.
The other important thing to mention about this one, which I'm just copying what Paparina said, is the cover, it always has like a hole where the animal is, because then you open it up and then there's like the full art. The hole on this one is so close to the edge of the cover that it always fucking tears. It is just impossible to find a copy of this book that is not torn there.
That sucks.
Like, there was a time where I found a whole bunch of Animorphs books at a like used bookstore, and I was just kind of looking through them, and I'm like, oh, please say they have number 3 with the tear, and they did.
God.
It's, as someone who works with children in a library, I see how they handle the books, and that does not surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Alright, so, yeah, this is our first Tobias book, and therefore it's going to be a lot more moody and introspective than the last couple.
So much hawk angst.
So,
I enjoyed the whole-
I'm going to try to just kind of power through what we've got here. I don't have context for this first thing that's written. Is it just during Tobias's little, like, here's what the Yerks are speech?
Yeah, his intro, because he's all like, I know this is hard to believe, but believe it anyway, or something
Yeah,
like
there's no
that.
reason given.
Good. So yeah, he's basically saying like that he's been. It doesn't really explain the full situation of like why he's trapped as a hawk or anything that comes up like I think in the second chapter. It's just like, yeah, I'm a bird, and so it mentions stuff like, I already don't remember what color my eyes used to be, but now they look fierce and angry all the time, and so there's like a little bit of intrigue there if you've picked this up as your first book.
Mhm.
As you would expect, this book is constantly mentioning thermals.
Hell yeah.
The first appearance of them was 7 paragraphs in.
Well, we say paragraphs, but these paragraphs are like 2 lines in the PDFs that we're reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it did not take long to get to thermals. So let me explain this fucking picture. I'm gonna have to put this in the video. And I was memeing on this thing before we even read the book. So this is just a running gag from the Pop Arena reviews. The book begins with this guy called Dealin' Dan Hawk, and he shows up for like 2 pages and then never again for like it's just this random throwaway character. But he became this massive.
He's filming a live commercial for some reason.
Yeah, I'll explain the setup before I explain the gag. So, yeah, Tobias is, like, offended by this guy because he has another red-tailed hawk, specifically a female one, trapped in a cage, and he, like, uses her as a mascot for his car lot, apparently, and for some reason, he airs live commercials.
It
And
makes
so-
no sense.
And so...
What? No.
And so he decides that it's a good idea to, try to free this hawk while they're filming the commercial. Or broadcasting it, I guess. He just kind of flies in and, tries to open the combination lock.
Which you guys are offended by the live commercial. I'm offended by the fact that Tobias, as a hawk, somehow opened a combination lock. There's no fucking way he could do that.
Look, I'm telling you, thumbs are overrated. You can manipulate things with talons or paws. I don't know. You can.
Well, clearly he did it, so...
Yeah, this book is written, it's based off a true story, so...
I'm sure he didn't exaggerate at all.
But anyway, so the deal with this guy is, in the other review series, he just kind of becomes this running gag anytime that Rachel shows up in Elephant Morph. There's always just a bit where he's just minding his own business, and then he says, "Oh, it's an fucking elephant again!" And, elephant just, comes in and fucks his life up for some reason, and it's okay, weeks later, I've gotten my life back in order. It's the fucking elephant! Just, I don't know, it's funnier in context, but, yeah, just this picture is very, iconic to me now. But... So, yeah, that's what happens. Rachel shows up as an elephant and just kind of crushes some cars to create a distraction.
Well, hang on, what is this picture from? Is this from the...
I don't know. No, it's not from the show. It's just some stock photo.
It does look like a very apt caricature of the person.
Yeah.
My favorite part is when he came back in the Knickknacks series in the episode on, I think it was called Rusty's Treehouse. Or something, he just randomly worked him into the script. It was very weird, but...
Excellent.
So yeah, chaos ensues. The hawk escapes. Again, I don't want to, I don't want to read other people's notes, so...
Sorry, hold on, where are we? Oh, this is me. Yeah, I don't know if this necessarily needs to be commented on. There was just because I'm not making that noise out loud.
Yeah,
what have I done?
Yeah, the elephant makes the noise of hurry, the way it's spelled,
capital H, lowercase h h u u u u r r, and then in all caps h h h h e e e e e e a a a a h.
I think
it's just kind of a
mess.
That is so many. Why are we typing this out?
Why not? It's fun. I don't remember the Rachel is pretty reference, but I'm sure there was one.
Tobias said it. Less weird coming from not her cousin.
He just called her the pretty one or something like that.
I'm gonna have to keep an eye on this shit in every book. They're gonna keep doing it.
Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on it for you.
Yeah.
And then there was a line that I swear to God was in one of the other two books that was just, I would have smiled if I'd had a mouth, and I think I commented on it before.
I'm pretty sure it was in the first or second chapter of the last book, yeah. So, all that crap happens, the other hawk flies away. Tobias has this brief, fleeting moment where he's just oh, I belong with her, I should follow, and then it's what the hell was that? And then, kind of just snaps back to reality.
Whoa.
Oh, there goes Grant. Yeah. I guess you can pull out foreshadowing.
Yeah, that's the beginning of his hawk relapses.
Yeah.
As always, I'm going to link the doc in the description of the video, so I think we are going to probably skip over a few here if they're less relevant to what's going on. So, yeah, I'm just questioning why the hell, the commercials are being broadcast live, and if they knew this, why they still went through with the stunt, knowing perfectly well that a bunch of people were going to see it, and, what do we do when the controllers see this? And they're we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Doesn't come up in this one, at least.
No. But yeah, it's they finish with this, and then it's well, let's go meet up with the others. I'm sure they'll have, probably seen this happen and immediately get pissed at us, and then that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, like instantly.
Yeah, unspecific measurements.
Yes, I love the unspecific measurements in the books, because at one point it just says about Rachel as the elephant, it says she has 2 curved tusks, each about as long as a child, as if a child is a unit of measurement and not an incredibly varied amount.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
It doesn't quite beat Hagrid's feet as being the size of baby dolphins. That one is fucking great.
I love stupid.
And that one you can't even say Americans will use anything but the metric system.
Yeah.
Anybody can use stupid comparisons. So I think I bumped my mic, sorry if there's a noise. Just a line here where he's saying, that's what a red tail likes. A nice tree branch with a clear view of a meadow full of little mice and rats and shrews and voles as they scurry below. That's how they hunt. And he's just, this kind of keeps happening throughout the book where he's like having to stop himself from like being like, no, I'm not a hawk. I gotta stop thinking that.
Yeah. It's like, they talk about how they have to kind of take control of the animal's mind as they like do a morph so that they can control the instincts, and Tobias is having to do that every second of every day and every night to keep
it's kind
his,
of like
humanity in check kind of thing.
I like to have both minds in there at once, and they're like, you can either kind of fade back and let the animal like be more in control of the actions, or he can kind of assert his own control over it. But it's yeah.
So a nice parallel to Yerks controlling their hosts.
Yeah.
So he's flying around and senses some sort of giant thing in the air above him. Nothing visible, but just kind of like senses that there's something big, and then sees like this ripple in the sky.
Which I correctly predicted was a cloaked ship. I didn't know that, but I wrote here.
So yeah, they, like I said, they're meeting up at one of their houses. Doesn't really matter which, and yeah, as I comment at the beginning of the next chapter, yeah, they're meeting in Rachel's room for no reason other than to just yell at them for pulling off this stunt. Nothing is really discussed, and then they just kind of leave. And so I think it was basically.
This is like when the parents are like, "We're having a family meeting."
God, I hated that shit.
Yeah.
I didn't really have enough of a family to have a family meeting.
The thing is, in my case,
the family meeting was just my mother, my sister, and me, and that was it.
Yeah, I was, called to a family meeting a few times, and it was always because my mom was pregnant.
Let's see.
I think the third time it happened, I called that shit. It's like, we're having a family meeting, and I'm like, okay, literally the last 2 times this happened. There was going to be a baby. Is that what's happening again? And they're like, yes. Anyway. I liked this little passage here. Marco yelled for a while. Jake made us promise never to do anything that stupid again. And Cassie, being Cassie, got everyone to make up and be friends again. And I like how just brief it is, and it's just like, this, everybody acted in their way.
Yeah.
The comparison I made is
very, yeah, like you said.
Yeah, playing D&D and just being like, I roll for diplomacy instead of like actually trying to, do that. Just like, it's implied that I do this thing.
Well, a good DM will ask you what kind of approach you have, but yeah. There's a scowling contest described, I think, between Tobias and I want to say Marco. I would like to have seen that.
Yeah, and Marco is apparently described as being short, but he's short, or at least he's not very tall. Very descriptive.
And then I'm like, is he as long as a child?
Presumably a bit longer.
I
guess he's a child in a way, but...
Yeah. See, yeah, exactly. Incredibly fucking varied.
Yeah.
I should skip this one, but it's too stupid not to. Just the line is, Marco made a face and grabbed one of Rachel's pillows to throw at Jake. And then I wrote, and then everyone started tickling each other. Even Uncle Sirius joined in. Because this seriously read like some Ariana Black shit. Like, that would happen at least once per book, where the characters would just be hanging out and just suddenly have like a tickle fight, and it would be like really gay.
It's like the last episode of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, then there's... Don't say the word cage around Tobias, Marco said. He'll do some guerrilla commando ninja SWAT team Hawk from Hell attack on the center. And I just always liked that line. And then there's some arguing over whether or not hell is a bad word.
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, at daycare, I told them about my trip to Drumheller, and this one kid got really mad at me and went and tattled to the daycare lady, and because hell was a bad word, and I'm like, bitch, it's part of another, like, it's a part of a place, like, this is the town. I'm not gonna censor the town's name. You want me to just call it Dinosaur Land? I should have just called it Dinosaur Land.
By comparison here, it's a perfectly normal word. No kid would get in trouble for saying it. It's like very quaint to me that people clutch their pearls over it.
We had the argument. I went to Catholic school, and we had the argument a lot as kids that like, oh, hell isn't a place, so it's not actually a bad word to say it. But then the teachers would be like, yeah, but you're not using it as a place. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it's the context matters, but either way, it's funny to think about when now I can't go 3 words without swearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we learned that Jake has been leaving leftovers from dinner up in the attic for Tobias to eat. And there's a little bit here where he says, I saw Cassie and Jake touch their hands together in a way that could almost have been accidental.
Yeah, and I pointed out it's could almost, not just could. So he thinks it's undoubtedly intentional, and he points it out, but he doesn't really dwell on it. So
yeah, it's funny because like, you know, within this group, Jake kind of knew everybody, but not everybody else was like friends with everybody else. But it seems like it's not really a secret that there's a thing between Jake and Cassie, but neither of them are like admitting it, and everyone else is just like, well, they'll talk about it one day.
Yeah.
Right.
So here's another line that I wanted to include. Again, I said we put in like half the book here. I flew out through her window into the night. Rachel's sad eyes seemed to follow me. I hated the way they all felt sorry for me. All they could see was that I was not what I used to be. All they saw was that I had no home. But they didn't really understand. I hadn't had a real home since my parents died. I was used to being alone, and I had the sky. So,
yeah,
just kind of a, you know, I don't know what
makes
you'd
you
call
feel
it.
for him.
I like the fact that he, you know, he's not happy with his situation, but he's also not, like, super, like, self-pitying. He's just like...
And he also,
yeah,
which is fairly realistic, doesn't want people to be pitying him, because it doesn't feel good.
Right.
Yeah. Because if you're pitying him, it's just going to remind him of that, like, he's in a shitty situation.
There's a recurring thing. There's a recurring thing in this book as well of, like, he normally kind of doesn't get along with Marco, but he seems to get along with him more when Marco is, like, making fun of him and, like, being lighthearted about it, because he's like...
It's giving him, like, that sense of normalcy that, like,
we're still
in this together.
Yeah, he's just one of the gang, you know, everybody else gets teased, so why can't he?
Yeah, right.
So, you know, not really having a whole lot to do, because everybody else has families and homework and stuff, Tobias just kind of flies around for a while. He's trying to find the invisible flying thing again. But he realizes that it might not show up until the same time that he saw it the previous time, which was around sunset. And so he's just like, well, crap, what do I do with the rest of my day? Because a hawk would spend most of its day hunting, but he doesn't want to give in to that. He wants to keep his humanity, so he's just kind of left with nothing to do all day. You have a bit here. it's more or less what we've been saying, but yeah, just
Yeah, it's interesting to see the ways that he's like clinging to his humanity by continuing like he's eating food that Jake leaves out for him instead of giving into the hunting instinct, even though as we see a little bit later it's not really doing it for him.
right.
Uh,
Yeah, there's a lot of thermal talk. I counted, and they're brought up 11 separate times in this book. Even more if you count like the word being said twice in the same like sentence or whatever.
I feel like it should be more, but
Yeah, felt like a lot.
You have another quote here, just kind of explaining his situation a bit.
oh, sorry, I thought that was your quote because I'm stupid.
Yeah, it was a little different this time. She actually left most of the notes this time.
The quote reads, "I had arranged for Jake to leave a message with my uncle. We told him to stay with my aunt. Told him I had gone to stay with my aunt. Each of them, my uncle and my aunt, thought I was staying with the other. I had no idea how long that trick would hold up before one of them figured out I wasn't in either place. I guess when they realized it, they called the cops and report me as a runaway. Or maybe they won't even bother." And I was like, oh, hey, look, an answer to the question I keep having, which is like, why, like, is anything being done about Tobias being missing?
Mhm.
And it actually doesn't even really answer the question because the school should definitely have called adults if he's been missing classes for weeks.
Right.
So that means that either his uncle like literally gives so little of a fuck that he's just been like ignoring it and doesn't really care.
Either that or
there's,
like yeah, maybe he picked up and was just like, yeah, he's with his aunt. I don't know. I'm not dealing with him anymore. And
yeah,
school's just like, well, okay. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I feel like it's got to be that because they would have they wouldn't just let him not care. Like they would have. I mean, I don't know about over there. I'm pretty sure over here, like you'd like go to jail or something. If, like,
probably.
you're supposed to be the guardian of some kid.
This is not just brushed off permanently. It will come up again in the future.
Okay.
But this is at least how they're temporarily dealing with it.
Yeah.
I'll start picking at the plot hole.
So, he sees, or I guess he doesn't see, but he senses the big flying invisible thing again, and watches as it flies into a gaggle of geese. Several of them just fall out of the sky dead. Some of them like tumble across the top of this thing, and where they're hitting it, he can see that it's a ship. Basically, it's like little bits of it are getting uncloaked as they hit it.
Mm-hmm.
So they meet up at Cassie's barn and discuss the ship.
Yeah, and she has wolves now. Like her parents are just like housing wolves. And before I realized that she had already called up her friends, I was like, if I was Cassie, I would be immediately calling up my friends to be like, hey, we can be werewolves now. Come here.
Yeah. It's at this point that they start discussing the possibility of like going up to the mountains there to try to, get some information or potentially do something. And Marco says something about like, oh sure, we'll just go up to the mountains. Like, he's like, oh, you suburb dwellers.
Yeah, I didn't remember this. I looked it up just now. Yeah, it says, have you suburb dwellers ever been to the mountains? We're talking about a large area. I don't really know why he's saying. I mean, I guess he's always just the.
Does he live in the mountains? Or...
No, he lives very
I
close
mean-
to Jake. He's just like a couple streets down.
Maybe he's ran away into the mountains before.
I think he's just kind of being his usual sarcastic self, where they're just like, we'll check the mountains, and he's like, okay, it's a big place. Where do we start? Again, just
Maybe.
there's a bit in the last Harry Potter book where they're trying to figure out where he might have, where the Horcruxes might be hidden, and it's like, well, he hid in Albania for a while, and Ron's just like, oh, okay, well, I mean, it'll only take us a couple days to search the entire country, I'm sure.
Good.
So, yeah, they're just kind of discussing, like, what do we do? And as usual, Marco is objecting. It's like, we don't have to do anything. I'm sick of this. And Rachel just gets tired of his bitching and is like, if you're going to keep doing this, just leave. And his response is, hey, Rachel, you're not just doing this to help save the human race. You get off on the danger. That's why you went with Tobias to free that bird. That wasn't about saving the world. That was just about rescuing some stupid bird. And,
How dare you?
This gets people kind of angry because they're just like, hey, Tobias is a bird. You can't say it. But I just, I found it funny because he said she got off on the danger, and I'm just like, oh. But I don't think it was.
You don't know if that connotation was the same in the 90s, and I just figured, regardless of, if it was, which I tried to look up if that was a usage at the time, and it seems like maybe it wasn't as common until like the late 90s, I think. But even then, like, I figured, like, he just means in the sense of, like, where do you get off on talking to me like that? That kind of...
Yeah, it's one of those things that can have, like, two meanings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just caught me off guard.
Yeah.
And so, they're all arguing, do we do this, do we not? And Tobias says that so far out of all of them, he's the only one who's really gotten hurt, and he's going to go check it out regardless, whether you want to help me or not. But they all do agree to go with, including Marco.
Because they're obviously not going to let one of them do it by themselves.
Right. They discuss the possibility of, like, skipping class to do it, and then they're like, nah, but it's not a good idea, because then, like, they'll, notice that we're consistent. If we do that too often, they'll notice that we're, like, that we're doing that and looking into activities or whatever.
We're going to be going missing together frequently, and it'll happen to line up with Andalite Bandit attacks.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Which is a smart thing to think about, considering Chapman.
Yeah.
True. But I did point out that even if they don't skip class, the fact that the activities only happen outside school hours would presumably be pretty informative to the EX. It just makes you think of it in Death Note, like, pretty early on. I think it's L. It might have been it might have just been, like, the police or something. Like, well, the killings only happen, like, outside of school hours, so the person's probably a student.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
which is,
although I don't know if the aliens would necessarily go to that as, like, their first thing.
And they have less data, whereas Light was, like, just constantly able to just write names down outside, during his free time, and so they had, like, tons of data points to work with.
Is your comment here? How many risks will you take before you come 6? I assume that's just.
It's dumb. It doesn't. It's just because I know that soon they will become 6 in a few. But he's being all dramatic. He's all like, "How many risks can we take before we lost? How long until the 5 of us were 4, or 2, or none?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but what if you gain 1?"
Could become 7 at some point. Who knows?
Ooh.
Anyway, so they're
add a dog.
What?
They're gonna add a dog.
A wheelchair dog. Yeah. So they they want to go to the mountains, and they decide that we can't just fly there because there could be bird watchers who would think it's very suspicious that, like, a peregrine falcon and a red-tailed hawk and a bald eagle and 2 ospreys are just all happening to fly in the same area, like they're on a mission. And so the thing is, this is the only time they do this. This is a concern of theirs later, where they want to make sure that they don't, like, stand out too much when they're all flying somewhere. But what they do in that case is they just spread out a bit, or like leave at slightly different times. Apparently they didn't think about that in this book, because they decided to go as wolves, which is much less convenient.
Yeah, but the wolves are new and they're cool.
Yeah. So they all get wolf morphs, and Cassie had a male and a female, and they decide that only one of them can morph the male because of the alpha male, like, if they had two of them, then they would like fight for dominance or some crap. So
So it's interesting because
Why
there would be two
they-
copies of the same wolf.
So there's a couple problems with this. One is that this is just false. This was a myth that was debunked at some point, but everybody, believes in this idea of the alpha male, but it's just not actually a thing. The other is, like, they could have all just morphed the female. It wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah. That's what I pointed out. I'm like, why can't that? Like, unless there's something about wolves that I don't know.
We can't have both of the boys become female wolves. That would just be.
Does morphing into a girl wolf make you gay?
That depends on if the girl wolf is younger or older than the male wolf.
Yes. So, I had a comment here to on this line where he just says, Jake had morphed into a flea. According to him, it was kind of a big nothing. Like being trapped inside a very old, very bad video game where you could barely see anything. And
yeah, imagine like E.T. Sorry, 26.
Well, I just think it's funny because, this was written in, like, 1996 or something, and it's like, we had 16-bit games. Like, they were looking okay by this point. But I like the thought of, like, this game is so old that it barely even has graphics. You can't even see. They didn't draw... Like, they didn't draw the character.
Yes.
It's just funny sounding, I don't know. So, Cassie goes ahead and morphs first, because she is usually the best at doing that, and, is able to kind of get control fastest, typically. So, she morphs it, and, has a brief moment of, like, getting growly and shit, but then it's, like, it's fine. She notes that it has better hearing than human and very good sense of smell. We basically saw this in the first book with Jake as the dog, but it's just, kind of more so, I guess. This is so unimportant, but there's a line that says, there was a sickening crunch as her knees changed direction. And I've seen people bitch about this, because it's like, actually, dog knees aren't facing the other way. Those are their ankles. And it's like, okay, so whatever. So the morph made the knees bend backwards and become the ankles. Like, it's whatever. Like, it doesn't matter.
They just want to prove that they know more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, she smells bacon off of Rachel's breath, apparently, and then comments like, weren't you supposed to go vegetarian? And I'm pretty sure this is never addressed again, but it could have potentially been, like, some character development if, they decided, like, hey, we're becoming animals, I don't want to eat animals anymore, but...
Yeah.
I don't think that ever becomes a thing, and in fact, I know of a book where it very specifically doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
I mean, half the time they're also like, we'll see this later on in this book, but like, even then, sometimes they're gonna morph predator animals and end up eating prey. So like,
yeah. Just I have to mention now, because there's a very good chance we won't get that far. There's a book, I want to say it's number 28, where the ghostwriter kind of ended on this really preachy, like, meat is murder sort of message, and then Applegate just wrote an extra chapter at the end where it's just like, after they all decided to go get burgers, and they were fine with the whole thing after all.
Fantastic.
It's very out of nowhere.
epic.
Okay, what's this about wolf jobs?
So there's a line where he says, I had this. One was Jake. He was the dominant male. In wolf packs, that's called an alpha. So he had a special wolf job to perform. So I just commented, I know some people who might know a thing or two about quote-unquote wolf jobs.
God damn it.
Who likes wolf jobs in the morning? So, yeah, the wolf job in question here is that Jake has to stop every 10 minutes to go pee on a tree somewhere to mark his territory. And so...
Which is why I was like, Wolf Jake is constantly peeing is good, but like, couldn't they have all been female wolves and avoided this? Because he just stops peeing and howling, and like everybody else is compelled to stop and howl with him.
Right. Now, I love the way that this is presented, though, where it's just like, Jake, how many more times are you going to pee? He's like, I don't know. I just have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Go piss, girl.
So,
Go piss.
okay, what is that from?
There's a show called Gossip Girl, and there's a shitpost image that's just the logo, but edited to say "Go Piss Girl." And
Oh, good.
All I know of it
as a reaction when someone
is
says
that it was a meme, but I didn't know the origin of the meme.
Mm. I want to hear Cassie's yodeling.
Was it her howling as the wolf, or?
Yeah, it's described as yodeling.
Oh, good. So here's another, just, bit of Tobias introspection that I thought was good. It says, I tried to imagine what it must be like to be a wolf. Maybe later I would ask Jake or Rachel about it. Then you could ask them what it was like to be a human. Maybe they can tell me about that, too, I thought bitterly. Stop it, Tobias. Stop it. I guess I felt that if I ever started to feel really sorry for myself, I might never stop.
Yeah, the introspection is good. And, like, he's not wrong. He can either, like, make good as a hawk or, like, fall into a spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it sucks, but he still has his people. He's still helping them. He's still fighting the aliens. He's still doing his Animorphs job. Although I too would be kind of like jealous if my friends were all like trying out these new animals and I got like stuck as a hawk immediately. Like I got to be my cat and then a hawk and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks, bro.
Yeah.
I
like the last line especially.
Yeah.
I'm suddenly realizing here that I don't think I ever mentioned that they, could tell specifically that this ship was heading to the mountains. It was probably implied by the fact that they're going there, but yeah, Tobias basically makes, like, he figures out what direction it's moving, and so, yeah, they're just trying to see what it's doing. But,
yeah.
So, yeah, they're just kind of wandering through the forest in the mountains. It's, a slow process of getting wherever they're trying to get. I don't even know how they know where they're trying to go, but whatever, they're just...
Isn't Tobias, like, scouting or something?
Yeah, he's flying ahead and trying to see if there's anything going on, and this is the point where he sees a bunch of vehicles and some people with assault weapons and some helicopters, and the helicopters contain Hork-Bajir, and so they're like, okay, well, there's definitely something going on here. And
it's the Yarks.
They're all heading towards a lake, and there's some campers nearby that just kind of get, like, snatched.
Yeah, I feel really bad for those campers. Like, they're never brought up again, but, like, they weren't killed. They were definitely taken to go be Yerks when they thought they were just having a vacation.
Yeah. Just wrong place, wrong time.
Gonna happen to tons of people throughout this, and that's just what happens when there's, fucked up shit going on, is innocent people get hurt. So.
It's fucked up.
So, he sees all this going on, flies back to the rest of the group to let them know, and he's just like, he flies up to this group of wolves, and he's telling them what's happening or whatever, and they're just not responding. And he's like, what's wrong with you guys? Oh, there's 5 of you. Oh, shit. And then realizes they're actual wolves, and they, like, almost kill him.
Yeah.
So, that happens, and then, he has to find the actual group again, and does after, like, 10 minutes, and lets them know what's going on. It says, like, they're probably heading towards this lake. You only have about 40 minutes left in Morph. Let's, get there and scout it out.
The time limit just stresses me out. Like, there's no time to do anything. 2 hours is we can't even get through a book in 2 hours.
Yeah. True.
Just wait until...
Time has stressed me out in general. I was always fucking going, is this on a timer? In my, like, banjo piece.
Oh, yeah.
Just wait until they have to, get onto a plane that with a flight that is more than 2 hours long and fucking reset the morph halfway through it. Yeah. And so this is the point where I feel like they should have probably reset the timer, but didn't. So, yeah, they all get to the lake, and we have a... Yeah, the line here says, they moved in a cautious circle around the phony park rangers, but I could see that the rangers had spotted them. They tensed up, then relaxed when they saw it was just a wolf pack minding its own business. And I think this is just stupid for a couple reasons, because A, who sees a wolf and is just like, oh, okay, that's fine then. You know, and also, you're specifically looking out for Andalites and Morph. Like, is this not a concern of yours? Like, what?
Well, and I'm like, I hope they see the group of 5 wolves and get worried about those ones, because as far as I know, they're looking for 5 Andalites. 4 wolves is fine. Nobody would ever disguise themselves as only 4 wolves.
Well, they weren't suspicious. They were over 40 feet back.
Yes. And now I'm trying to think. I don't know if they would know how many Animorphs there are at this point, because I think so far they've not all attacked a place, like, you know, in Morph at once. I guess at the pool...
At the beginning.
At the pool, there was... It was a lot of chaos, because Cassie, like, you know, is kidnapped, and she goes hoarse partway through it, like, you know, to escape, and somebody totally should have seen that, but just kind of didn't, so...
Oh, yeah, and then a fucking lady rode her upstairs.
And was the only survivor. And then disappeared from the series. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, the cloaked ship uncloaks itself, and they're immediately taken aback by its sheer size. He says it's basically like an oil tanker kind of just floating in midair. Apparently it's shaped like a manta ray. And you can read your other line here in a second, but I have to read this. Just, are you guys seeing this? It looks like it's going to land on the lake. Are we seeing it? No. No, we totally missed the fact that a spaceship the size of Delaware is hovering in midair. Marco, of course. You know, I hate to be a pessimist, but when I look at that thing and I get a bad feeling about our chances. 4 hounds and a bird versus a ship the size of Idaho. A minute ago, it was just the size of Delaware, Cassie pointed out mildly.
And then I, of course, did a quick Google search to find out that Idaho is about 42 times bigger than Delaware.
I do like how just between sentences, he's just like, no, Delaware not big enough.
Good shit.
My other line was not that important. I was just pointing out that the Taxons were being described as giant huggable centipedes that you couldn't hug because they were too big or something.
Yeah, and I feel like this is actually a comparison made in several books where they're just like, you know, they're so wide across, you could never fit your arms around them if you ever wanted to give one a hug. Not that you would, because they're disgusting. Yeah.
Let me hug the bug. This is just making me want to hug them. There must be a reason why they're described like this.
No, they're just kind of awful. So here's another good line. You guys, watch how you act. The Yerks will be looking for any animals that act strangely. He's right, Marco agreed. Jake, start peeing on things again.
I just kind of struggled with the, like, description of the actual spacecraft, because it's described as this, like, truck, but it's also described as, like, manta ray shaped, and it's bringing air and water into it, and it's describing that it's transporting oxygen by, like, scooping the air, and I'm like, I don't know.
I mean,
I assume they're just sort of filling up air tanks like you would for like deep sea divers, just on a larger scale.
Yeah, I kind of assume it's like it has these. They describe them as scoops. They've got to just be like vacuums. I don't know.
Yeah.
And they
like,
keep.
If it's sealed, then sure, but it's like the way that it's described makes it sound like it's just like bowls holding the air.
Yeah, I do like that visual though. But yeah, if we haven't made it clear, this thing is just kind of sucking water out of the lake and sucking in air apparently, and they're just like, oh, it's just bringing them resources to bring up to like the mothership or something.
Mm-hmm.
There's a line here. I was tempted to include this one myself and specifically didn't because I'm just like, no, we have too many lines already, but it is a good one. It's
the one with the sauntering.
Yeah, they realize, okay, we're running out of time. We should probably get out of here. And it's like, well, hold on, don't everybody just run off. That'll look suspicious. He says, everyone be cool about it. We just act like we're sauntering off to go kill a moose or whatever it is that wolves saunter off to do.
Like, I picked this line up because it made me giggle. I'm like, I think
Yeah.
it's the use of the word saunter.
Saunter is a good word.
Yeah. Coincidentally, Tobias then spots the hawk that they had saved the other day. He, without thinking, just kind of flies over to, like, chill with her, and then becomes horrified that he's losing his humanity and is giving into the hawk mind, and so he, snaps out of it and then flies back.
Yeah, and I'm like, I wonder how long it would take him to, like, actually fully lose himself to it if he just, like, gave up.
Yeah.
I don't remember what this is in reference to, but chapter 10, the note just starts with, my line inside of you are 2 wolves. One of those was Jake. The other was an actual wolf.
Yeah, it's because the morphed the Animorphs had run into the pack of real wolves and are facing off.
Yep. There's a
Oh, no.
skirmish is about to happen. There's a dead rabbit on the ground, and the Animorphs have just kind of happened across the other wolf pack, and it's like, well, we've got to fight them for it. And Tobias is like, why? Just leave.
But no.
And then but then Cassie's just like, well, if we leave and let them keep the kill, then that'll make Jake look weak, and then the alpha of their pack might attack us, which is questionable, but
I don't know if that's how that works. Yeah.
especially since alpha wolves aren't a thing. But yeah, it's whatever. It made sense to them, so they're just kind of like all squared off, like, ready for this fight to erupt. And Tobias decides that the only way to prevent this from happening is to cause a distraction, so he flies in and grabs the dead rabbit to make the other wolves chase him, and then, while they're doing that, the Animorphs can go fuck off. So this happens, and this is now the second time that he's narrowly escaped getting mauled by these fucking wolves, and he, just wants to rest, but is like, nope, I gotta go, make sure everything's okay. Let me go see, like, make sure the Yerks aren't following us or whatever, see if I can find out what time it is. So he spots a clock inside of a truck or something, and is just like, oh shit. The clock, like, the 2 hours ended, 10 minutes ago.
I think it was 7.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't actually 10, but he sees this and is just like, it's already too late.
They're wolves forever.
So he, flies as fast as possible back to the group, screaming in thought speak, morph now! And they're just like, how much time is left? None. And, they immediately try to demorph, and we have a fairly stressful scene here where Cassie is able to kind of get out of it faster than the others, but the other 3 are having trouble. They're getting, they can get, a hand and then nothing else, and are just, not able to get out of this, and they're all freaking out. And so Cassie completely goes, finishes, becomes human, and she's kind of running around encouraging the others.
Yeah, she's telling them focus on becoming human, see yourself, etc.
Right,
urging them through it.
And at one point, I'll just read the line here. It's he says, I saw Marco roll his human eyes up and stare at me. His gaze locked onto me. It was like he hated me, or feared me. Both, maybe. I didn't move. If Marco needed me to concentrate, that was fine. But it sent a shiver of disgust through me. I suddenly saw myself as they all must see me. As something frightening, a freak, an accident, a sickening, pitiable creature. But, you know,
That is
for what it's
sad.
worth, it does work. They all manage to push through and basically describe it as like fighting through molasses. It was like just this really hard push to get out of it, and so it's unclear if the clock in the truck was just off and they actually had like a minute or so, or if they had just passed it and there was like the slightest bit of wiggle room. Because I don't think the time limit is, I don't think it's exactly 2 hours. But
I think even when they're told about the time limit at in the first place, they say it's about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because I don't think a reason is ever given to why the time limit exists, and if it is based off of any measurable amount of time on the Andalite home planet, but it just kind of happens to line up with 2 Earth hours.
Mm-hmm. So you had a note here, Nick?
Yeah, it's just if it was me after a narrow case like that, I would start to just train the morph to be as smooth and fast as possible.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know how much control they really have over that. Like, I think practice does help to a certain degree, but Cassie is just an anomaly. She's just strangely good at it, and we'll find out later from Axe that like it's very uncommon even for Andalites to be as like good at it as she is.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean, you said like, oh, they could have reset the clock to avoid this. I'm like, I agree, and they shouldn't be pushing their luck as much as they are, but they're not always going to have that flexibility, so any little advantage they can get in case of emergency is probably a good idea.
Yeah. So, everybody gets out okay. They're all just kind of like laying there gasping for breath and just, thankful that they managed to get out of it. And Tobias just immediately starts kind of feeling disgusted. He feels jealousy over them returning and just kind of can't stand to be there anymore. So, he was happy that they're not stuck as wolves, obviously, but he, gets the sudden realization that he's not going to ever feel that same freedom, and so he just flies off and can't, bear to be there any longer.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, you have a big thing here.
Oh, I put it in the wrong place. Yeah, you mentioned that like he starts to feel jealousy over his friend's return to human form. Like, technically it's envy, but whatever. This is a stupid bit. I was saying it was at this point I was reading that I was starting to get that there's some of the themes of this book are to do with like grappling with sort of maintaining your humanity even as the circumstances that you're experiencing are forcing you to kind of become something else. And here it's very literal, and especially with Tobias. But also even with like Jake having to adopt the quote unquote rules of the wild with like the pack standoff and stuff. It works well with this being like a story about war, because in the same way you often hear about like, combatant and civilian life is completely different, and veterans struggle to adjust to going back to civilian life after they've been in combat for a long time or an extended period of time. And I don't know, I just think it's an interesting kind of thematic connection or like a metaphor or something that I'd like to see that continued.
Yeah,
the series is quite good at doing that. It has its stupid moments and strays from that occasionally, but it has a lot of good just character stuff like this. So yeah. We are officially in the part where I am not the one taking the general chapter notes, and so I'm having to I usually try to put these in my own words, and so it's weird having this written from someone else. But
sorry.
No, that's fine. So Tobias goes back to their neighborhood, and Jake had left the window open in his attic and made like a little place for him to stay. There's like a open dresser drawer with like a blanket and a pillow, and he brought up let's see, what was it? They called it a Rubbermaid, which, as you asked, it's basically like Tupperware. It's like a little plastic container. brought up some leftovers, and so, he's hungry. He opens the thing up, and it's got some hamburger meat and like some vegetables and potatoes, and the hawk body just can't process anything that isn't meat, so he eats what he can, but is still hungry and is not fully satisfied with the cold dead meat because the hawk wants it to be like freshly killed. And
yeah. He mentions that like he hasn't told Jake about this yet, but I feel like Jake probably can figure it out considering the fact that it's not eaten ever.
right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just kind of makes me sad because like Jake is trying his best to make Tobias comfortable, but what he needs is comfort for like the hawk because the food isn't palatable, the blanket's too soft. But on the other hand, those are the things that are keeping him connected to his humanity. So like even if he was given the comforts of the hawk, he would miss those human comforts. So it's like it's really a no way to figure that out. Like it's lose-lose. There's no winning, and it's totally like he's grieving his humanity in a certain way. Like his friends can try to help, but ultimately it's something he just kind of has to accept in his own time and in his own way.
I think grief is a good way to put it, and also there's a certain extent to which I can understand there's being like maybe a pride, like he doesn't want to admit that he has different needs now, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's just generally a shitty situation. He has to figure out how to deal with it, and that'll be happening throughout the course of the book. So he's feeling restless and decides to go fly over to Rachel's, and she has set up a little birdhouse outside the window for him to land on. And so he basically just kind of tells her what's been going on, how he keeps feeling this connection to the female hawk and is worried about losing himself. I'll go ahead and read a direct quote here. It's kind of a longer one, but...
Yeah, so... You belong with us, Rachel said firmly. You're a human being, Tobias. How can you be so sure? I asked her. Because what counts is what's in your head and in your heart, she said with sudden passion. A person isn't his body. A person isn't what's on the outside. Rachel, I don't even remember what I looked like. I could see that she wanted to cry, but Rachel is a person with strength that runs all the way through her. Maybe that's why I came to see her. I needed someone to be sure. I wanted someone to let me borrow a little of their strength. I just thought that was a good passage. I like that they can draw that kind of strength for each other. And I also feel like Tobias maybe should have like taken the photo that he had.
Yeah, she had like a little photo of him, and she said like, it's not a great photo. You look better in real life. And he's just like, do I know?
I didn't interpret it in that way. I interpreted it because he said in real life, ...
Well, yeah, I wasn't... I was saying, like, because, he's not the human anymore, so he's just like, is that real life?
Oh, okay, I misunderstood how you were saying it, but yeah, never mind.
I just have another line here that I liked. Rachel's basically saying, one day the Andalettes are going to arrive. They're going to have some way to, like, restore you back to your original body. Like, it'll be fine. And he said, I wish I was sure. She said, I am sure. She put every ounce of faith... She put every ounce of faith into those 3 words. She wanted me to believe, but I could see the tears that were threatening to well up in her eyes as she lied. Like I said, hawks don't miss much.
Angsty hawk boy.
Yeah. Angst.
Yeah, this chapter just kind of made me wonder how like animal lifespans are altered by the morph. So like hawks live 15 to 20 years on average in the wild, and like I feel like we can classify Tobias as a hawk in captivity, which means he can last up to like 30-ish years with human support.
Yeah.
And I was just like, is Tobias's lifespan cut short by this, or he's going to be a hawk with a human lifespan? Like,
yeah, and so what I wrote here was I don't remember everything that happens at the end of the series, and even if I did, I don't want to like completely spoil it. But I'm pretty sure that it's, his body is the hawk body. It's going to have its natural lifespan. It's not going to be extended to a human's lifespan. And so basically, I guess then when he gets to that older age, he'd have to decide, like, do I just, die of natural causes in this body, or do I, because we've said before, like, later in the series, he does regain morphing ability. Like, at this point, do I then just revert back to human, lose my morphing ability, and, just live out the rest of my life this way? But it would be fucked up, because at that point, he would mentally be like 30 to 40 years old and would be returning to like a 13-year-old body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30 going on 13, which I think is a movie.
So I think we get a couple of these little like talks with Rachel, but the next day there's a meeting planned for everybody in the evening. Tobias just kind of spends the day flying around trying to convince himself that being a hawk isn't so bad. Everybody leaves school separately, tries to act like they're not, going out to, like, hang together or whatever. They're trying not to draw attention. But they're going to go meet up at Jake's house. Tom is going to a sharing meeting, which we don't actually see any results of this in the book. It's just an excuse to get him out of the house, I guess.
Yeah. I still feel like it would have been interesting to send Tobias on, like, a reconnaissance mission of, like, following Tom and seeing what goes on at the meetings.
Yeah, I mean, they still definitely could later.
Yeah. I like the tone shift between the last chapter and this one, where the last chapter he's all like, I'm a hawk, this sucks, everything is horrible, I'm losing my humanity. And then this one, it starts with him just flying around being all like, this ain't so bad, I don't have any homework and I can go fast.
Right. Yeah, I think I was just gonna say, I think he has, like, some comment about how, like, years ago, I used to look up at birds and be like, man, it would be so cool if I could just be that free. And so I got to see it from that perspective.
Yeah, which, like, that's what he has to do to keep going at this point. And
he mentions, wanting to keep track of time, and he says, like, oh, some of those banks have these big signs showing the time and temperature. And I'm like, I've never heard of this. I've heard of, like, clock towers.
It is a thing. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why it's banks, but it is true. They'll just have these big signs with, like, a digital readout that'll just kind of, like, display the time, the temperature, maybe, like, some other stuff.
Banks and dentist offices sometimes have them here.
Fair enough. And he starts to kind of muse about, he says, it's strange the things you miss when you lose your human body, like showers. Like, really sleeping all the way, totally passed out. Or, like, knowing what time it is. I said, it's interesting that two of those things, the showers and the timekeeping, are things that he lists as being aspects of humanity, but they're like, inventions. Like, obviously you could wash yourself before showers and have a general sense of the time, or use, like, sundials or whatever, or water clocks, without accurate timekeeping devices. But it's not much more than you'd have access to as a hawk. I'm not calling it, like, a hypocrite or anything, but in a sense, he's defining his human identity by things that humans have been able to build to kind of, like, escape or separate themselves from the lives of wild animals that we were much closer to being a long time ago. I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I like this next line.
Like I say, there are some good things about having wings. I guess really it's okay most of the time. Really. Oh yes, how convincing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just the one about Rachel.
Because he's kind of just, like, hanging out around Jake's house, watching all of them slowly make their way towards the house, and they're waiting for Tom to leave before they go in. And so he's watching them. He says, I could identify Rachel easily. She was practicing her gymnastics as she walked. She would walk along the edge of curbs, pretending they were balance beams. And I got excited because I'm like, I was not in gymnastics, but I used to do this all as a young one. I got weirdly excited reading this and realizing other people did it too.
Yeah, and so the thing is, I don't do that anymore, but I definitely did as a kid. And now I'm always like really self-conscious if because like there's places where there just isn't a sidewalk. It'll like you just have the street, and then you just have like, you know, grass, and there's like a curb between the two, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna walk in the street. And I guess I'll just walk on the curb, and then I feel like a jackass because I'm like, you know, doing the balance beam thing. But I also made
the more dangerous than just being on the very edge of the street or on the grass.
Probably. But I don't like to walk on the grass. It's gonna ruin it. Or, you know, depending on the day, it could also be like really muddy. And shit. But yeah. So I said, you know, I used to do that too, and I'm like, but did you ever, you know, make your steps a particular length so that they're spaced equally with, like, the tiles on the ground?
Yes, I do.
And I also do, but I know Josh is going to be annoyed to hear this. I always thought it was an autism thing, or maybe I was explicitly told it was. It's like a compulsion for me, to an extent.
Like... For me, I wouldn't call it a compulsion. I'll just do it because it's, you know, if I'm just walking somewhere not doing anything, it's something to just, you know...
Yeah, it's not something I do, like, every time that I go walking, but, like, if my brain is off, then it wanders sometimes.
For me, it's like, it feels wrong to do it. Like, I'm doing it, like, I'm walking incorrectly somehow if I ever, like, have, you know, two, like 3 steps on one tile and then 2 on another or something.
Yeah. It doesn't really bother me if that happens. I'll do it just, you know, to have something to do, basically.
It used to bother me a lot more.
The other thing is, ever since I had marching band, I feel like I'm more conscious of roll stepping. I don't know if that term is well known, but they would teach us to do that specifically, where when you take a step, you specifically like put your heel down first, and then kind of like gently put the rest of your foot down instead of like, you know, stomping, I guess, because it's like it's more gentle. If you're playing an instrument while walking, it causes it to not like, you know, like.
I see.
So that's just how I walk now.
Gotcha.
Anyway, by day after tomorrow, I don't remember this typo, but apparently there was a typo.
I think it's Cassie brings up that they have like a teacher gave them some homework to do by day after tomorrow instead of by the day after tomorrow, and I was wondering if that was a typo.
Probably.
I don't know if it's a typo, if it's just weird grammar that's technically correct, but like awkward.
That's what I'm wondering, is it technically correct or is it just wrong?
I assume it's just wrong. I feel the need to read this next one, because this part is just fucking stupid. I have to get going soon too, Rachel said. She looked a little embarrassed. My gymnastics class is putting on an exhibition at the mall. Oh, I'm there, Marco crowed. No, you are not there, Rachel snapped.
Oh, he'll be there.
Sure enough, he is.
But, like, what mall puts on random children's gymnastics exhibitions? I've never heard of that.
I don't know.
For some reason, it reminds me of the episode of King of the Hill where Bobby's doing the fucking like clown performance at the mall or whatever it is.
Oh, was it? It was like a fashion show, right?
Oh yeah,
it was like the. Yeah, because there's Tartuffe, the spry wonder dog, and then there was the one where he was like modeling like husky kids' clothing or something.
That was it.
Isn't he also a clown at the rodeo at some point?
I don't know. But yeah, I love Rachel's just like, I have to do this thing, and Marco's like, oh, I am so there, like just there to. Give her extra pressure. I don't know. Like,
I assumed it was. He was like, "Oh, I gotta see this shit."
So yeah, they're all just kind of doing like
I like the term verbal antics.
yeah, that's how you wrote this, verbal antics. That's a good way to describe it. They just kind of do their thing where they're all just kind of like bickering and like cracking jokes. Tobias gets teased about something by Marco. I don't remember what, but he enjoys just the normalcy of it, feeling included. And because a couple of them have to leave really quick, they try to quickly come up with a plan. Like, okay, are we gonna do anything?
All the best plans are rushed.
Yeah, we know that they have the ship landing there. What do we do? And Marco suggests, instead of just trying to blow this thing up or whatever, like, this is a truck that they have that's delivering stuff. They could have dozens of these. Instead, something more useful we could do is find a way to uncloak it in front of people so that there can be a lot of witnesses.
Mm-hmm. It's a good idea.
I'm going to need you to explain your comment here.
It's a Discworld thing, right?
Oh, yeah. So I was like, I like that their plan is basically soon all of China will know you're here. And then, yeah, let's arrest the Yerks. Like how Carrot tried to arrest a dragon in guards. It's a Discworld thing. It's a series that's like told by town guards, and one of the guards, like, there's a scene where he's literally like reading a dragon his rights and like the shit that the dragon did, and one of the other guards was like, all right, everybody needs to clear out. If he's doing all of them, we're gonna be here all day. And this dragon's just like laying on the ground getting his rights read to him. It's great.
That's awesome.
So we've got this new plan. Let's expose the Yerks, and then like once everybody sees that they have this giant ship or whatever, like there's no hiding this. They won't be able to cover it up, and then we'll be able to go to the authorities, and then we can launch an attack on them.
That part I don't know so much about, but...
And so, I forget, somebody questions, like, well, hold on, if we do this, like, if they're out of hiding, they'll just, start attacking. They'll take over with force. And
also you gotta think about the fact that the Yerks are also in the authorities. Like, what if you reported the Yerks to the Yerks, and they're like, we'll deal with that, and then, like, don't...
I don't know, but yeah, the idea is it's just like, if this forces them out of hiding, is this going to be a bad thing? And initially I'm like, yeah, they have access to, like, sci-fi weaponry. They're going to be able to kick everybody's ass. But Tobias suggests that if they were capable of just doing that, they would have done it from the beginning instead of trying to, make it all sneaky. And he potentially has a point. So
I mean, like, maybe, but like, there's nothing bad about them maybe wanting to try diplomacy first.
Well, this isn't even diplomacy. Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, this is just infiltration.
trying to defend the Yerks, be like.
So they make plans to head back to the mountains on a Saturday. They're going to get there in the morning and then camp out until the ship shows up, and then they'll be able to do whatever they're planning to do. I think they're going to wing it. So,
I get it, because he's a...
There's a line there that's just like, but joysticks and control pads aren't made for talons, and like literally the part that would break me about being a hawk forever.
Yeah, I don't remember why he says that. I think it's just like, Marco and Jake were going to play games or something. And
being a sad bird boy.
Yeah, he mentions that, with his hawk reflexes, he could theoretically be major competition in Doom, if not for the fact that he can't, like, actually operate the game with his body. And so I'm just like, what do you... Isn't Doom just single player? And then I had to look it up, and it's like, oh, no, it actually did have, like... I never played the game. I just kind of assumed it was a single player thing, but apparently it did have, like, death matches and stuff.
I also had to look it up because I had a specific memory of, like, hearing that, like, either Unreal Tournament or one of the Quakes or something was, like, one of the first ones to have multiplayer. I don't know what I was thinking of. Maybe it was, like, LAN stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. And so this was just I found it interesting just because, like, I was kind of like the target demographic when the book came out. I think I was like maybe a couple years younger. But like I was around when these books were, and yet I didn't. I feel like I'm still too young to have grown up with Doom because like that was a big kids game, and I didn't play that. And so just kind of hearing about the like early 90s PC gaming scene where you didn't really have internet yet. You sort of did, but only just barely, and yet you could still kind of like, do like these LAN parties and shit and like hook up multiple computers to play this game together. Like, I missed out on all that stuff completely.
LAN parties have always fascinated me.
Insert the image of the guy duct taped to the ceiling.
The guy duct taped to the ceiling.
Yes.
I was about thinking that.
I fucking love that image.
It's so good.
A little bit of a twist in topic, bringing us back to the book. My next comment was just about how the whole book seems to just be a metaphor right now for learning to live happily as yourself, because he's kind of like, he keeps floating between accepting his like new Hawk life and like learning to like kind of roll with the punches with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth with that.
Yeah. And then I was like, this might make some children want to become hawks, though.
So,
and then immediately he becomes a hawk.
Yeah. So his current line of thought is just like, he's just like, there's a lot of things I miss, like being able to go to the amusement park. But wait, I could still go there. I couldn't ride the roller coaster or anything, but I could go there. And he just kind of thinks about like other stuff he can do. Like I can go to outdoor concerts and stuff, and I can watch sporting events, and so he's just kind of like, I gotta adapt to this new, like I have all these new opportunities, and he's just kind of thinking about that, and he's being happy and not thinking about it, and then suddenly is just like, oh, a rat grabs down, flies down, kills it, starts eating it. He's like, oh god. Yeah.
It's like, well, shit, so much for not eating rats. I'm like, this will likely haunt him more than Jake's spider incident haunts me.
Yeah.
So, now that that particular line has been crossed, and he's not too happy about it. So, then we get very like distressing chapter. So
probably the most angsty chapter in the whole book.
So he's just like, I don't like this. I don't want to I can't live with this, and basically just kind of goes into this like doom spiral. And he's just like, I need to go talk to somebody. I need to go talk to Rachel. She's at the mall, and so he flies to the mall, and is just basically like. I think the book doesn't outright spell it out because it is a kid's book, but he's basically just like, I could just fly into this window and fucking die.
Yeah.
And so he's like
there are multiple times in this chapter where he's just like, I'm just gonna fly straight into the door, see what happens. Like the guy pulls the door open just in time, but like if he hadn't, oh no.
Yeah, there's like several near collisions here where he's about to fly into the door going into the mall, and just somebody happens to open it just in time, and so he flies in, and people are freaking out like, oh shit, huge bird in the mall, what's going on? And then he like is about to crash into some other wall, and then Rachel calls out to him, and so he like at the last second turns away, and he like just kind of falls out of the sky. She grabs him and is like, it's like, what is going on? Like, but she's surrounded by people and can't really be talking to the hawk in public. And so he's freaking out. He's like, I killed him. And he just, fucks off again and is about to fly through the glass ceiling. And then...
like, the entire fucking skylight of the mall.
Yeah. So, of course, everybody's seeing this is like, oh my god, bird's going crazy. And in a very stupid moment, unfortunately, because otherwise the chapter is, very dark and like it's kind of the low point of his character or whatever. This takes me out of it. Marco just has a baseball for some reason. And he's just like, I know what I must do, and hurls this ball at the skylight somehow hard enough and accurate enough to
shatter
break the
it.
glass right ahead of where he's about to fly. And so he flies out of the ceiling and is, fine, and a bunch of glass falls down and apparently doesn't hurt anybody. But, like, what? Whatever. Like,
Well, yeah. Maybe he was planning to throw it at Rachel or something during her performance.
God. Didn't even think about that.
But then, yeah, the chapter kind of ends with the lines, I let it go, I surrendered, Tobias, a boy whose face I could no longer remember, no longer existed. Like, well, damn.
yep.
Yeah, I put this genuinely heartbreaking.
Yeah, so.
And then immediately
Yeah.
they go to murder a baby raccoon.
Yes. So yeah, after that whole incident, he narrowly avoids killing himself like 3 times in the span of a minute. And just kind of flies away to be away from people for a while and just sort of...
Yeah, I think for like a couple days, doesn't
Yeah.
he say?
Yeah, he just embraces the hawk life completely, and it's just like, this is what I am now, I have to just deal with it, and just kind of shuts his brain off and lets the instincts take over, living in the forest with, he's looking for the female hawk. And, yeah, there's a scene where there's like a baby raccoon, and he sees the other hawk try to grab it, and fails, and... Yeah, you commented here, like, I can't believe they're about to kill a baby raccoon on screen.
It got away, thank goodness.
Just some stupid comments here, none of this really matters. But, while all this is happening, he's been out there for a couple of days, and he's just like, oh, a chase, As a predator, it can be interesting watching other predators chase their prey. It's it's the thrill of the hunt, and he sees a person getting chased by a hork-bajir, and it's just like, yeah, right on. And then kind of realizes like, well, wait, no, this isn't good. I should try to help with this, and so he flies over and rakes at the hork-bajir's eyes because it's their only weak spot, and this is the one thing he knows how to do. I comment on this in the note, like, this is his signature move. He does it in like every book, and it's like his one contribution to fight scenes.
Gouge the eyes.
Yeah.
I randomly
simple but
put in
effective.
the quote, hork-bajir compared to raccoons like a nuclear bomb compares to a bow and arrow. I'm like, I enjoy this comparison with no context.
Yes.
Something hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby.
So yeah, it's a bit of an interesting moment. This doesn't last for long. We have this fugue state, I guess we could call it. It's just like, some days pass and then this thing happens and I snap out of it. Because we got to keep the plot moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't have expected all this would last too much longer, but it does feel like, to me, like maybe we're pulling back just a little on account of being like a kid's book. Because honestly, I was down for some more like horror angst. Like they could fill the whole middle of this book with that. I'd be down.
Yeah, I feel like in a more, like, if this was a 300-page book, this would be fleshed out a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, exactly. It's mostly to keep the plot moving and keep us invested.
And also just because it would have been depressing, I think.
Yeah.
To dwell on it for too long.
If you want to read about a hawk, read Frightful's Mountain.
Yeah. Chapter 17 starts with Rachel being propped up in a bed reading a book by several pillows, and I'm like, yes.
Before we get to that, we had another quote here. I figured you would read it.
Oh, I totally missed that quote. I thought we covered that. Never mind. This was when he was like watching the
chase.
The chase, and realizing that this is something that he should be helping with. The freed hawk was watching me. I could almost feel her drawing me towards her. It was like a magnet. She was my kind. She was like me. But the park rangers were in hot pursuit of the human now. The human was nothing like me. Poor, clumsy ground runner that he was. He was just prey. And yet, for some reason, I couldn't let him be prey. I couldn't. Me. Tobias.
I'm
It's
going to
kinda like
end my father,
giving-
him, all.
It's just putting his name back out there is like, I don't know, like names are always a thing. Like names have power, names are meaningful.
Mhm.
Giving yourself a name, like drawing yourself back to humanity. It's all
Yeah.
coming
No, it's
back
cool.
to the hawk relapse, to the humanity acceptance.
Yeah. So yeah, then Rachel's propped up in bed with pillows reading a book.
Which is just me every night.
And then you wrote, I am sad that birds aren't huggable. And yeah, Sam, you know, if Hadoos were like 4 times bigger and didn't have like fragile hollow bones, then yeah, I would definitely have to get some and like hug them and stuff. At that point, those are just chickens, but
I'm currently reading a book where the main character has like a giant hawk companion, and at one point she hugs him, and she makes a point of being like not putting any pressure because she, and I quote, doesn't know how much a bird would feel comfortable with.
yeah.
I'm like, great, love it. We all want to hug the birds.
So anyway, yeah, she's in bed reading, and Tobias shows up. After having been missing for a couple days, and lets her know what's been going on. She basically says, everybody's been worried sick. Cassie's worried that he might have died. Jake's just been depressed about the whole thing.
Yeah. Something about Cassie being pessimistic here is funny to me. I don't know why. She's just like,
Well-
oh, he probably died.
I don't know if it's necessarily pessimistic as much as like realistic, because like he's a hawk and
I
hawks
guess
can-
And also he
like,
was suicidal.
That too, and he
Yeah.
almost got ate by wolves like twice in front of them. Like,
I mean, we didn't see the conversation, so for all we know, she was like very hesitant to say it. But I like the idea that she was just like, maybe he died.
it's probably dead. Yeah, and then he tells Rachel about the like hunt that he stopped, and then she was all like, "But what if this gets back?" And he's like, "What is he gonna do? Go tell people he was chased through the woods by an alien monster and rescued by a telepathic bird?" Because he like spoke to the human.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yes, probably exactly this.
Yeah. And so, he's confiding to her about just how he feels bad about killing to eat, and it's just like, are what the Yeerks doing really any different? Like, I stopped this Hork-Bajir from attacking the human, but, how is that any different from what I'm doing? And Rachel says, well, you're just killing to survive. Like, that's, the Hawk has to do that, or otherwise it's going to die. The Yeerks are enslaving people. They don't have to be doing this. And so she's, just trying to reassure him that he's still human. And this is an interesting point because she is right, but it's an interesting situation because the Yeerks are, they're enslaving people, they're doing horrible things, but it is basically just what their species does. It's how they propagate, essentially. And so this is more I said it's more comparable to how most people still choose to eat meat, even though they technically don't have to. Like, we've, developed ways to survive without it. And it's just like, it's what we do. You're used to it. And so, I don't know. It's just...
It's a complex topic.
Yeah. And...
But...
Yeah, you had a bit, huh?
With regards to like the Yeerk thing specifically, I was like, I guess I'm missing some context here, but weren't they doing just fine chilling in their, Kandrona pools or whatever it was originally, before they started doing the whole body snatching thing? Like, even if they discovered that and, they needed some more room or something, or they needed to expand, like, they didn't have to go full evil empire with it, like evil space empire. They could have just done enough to make, some more pools for themselves and then go back to doing that.
The thing is, though, that's more comparable to being like, humanity didn't have to build civilizations. We could have just kept living out in the wild or in caves or whatever. Because
That's true.
because
but
the
there's
Yeerks
also-
they're blind and deaf. They have like they have like a full like, intelligent sapient mind in this body that can't fucking do anything. And
Yeah,
so
well, and
like
can't they like not communicate with each other either, even
I
without a
think
host?
I think they can when they're in the pool. They have like, some form of like telepathy or something, but they also operate as like a hive mind. It's kind of weird. But yeah, it's like for them to basically like, get anything worthwhile out of life, they need a host that has any senses.
I can see the comparison. There's a part of me that's like, if their default existence is never knowing sensory input, then I don't see what the big deal is. But like, it's not like they miss it. It's like the whole species is like that.
Yeah.
But,
It's a weird case because we're talking about a thing that doesn't exist here, but it's like
Yeah.
they have this potential to be so much more, and it's like, they're not out there killing for the fun of it or, enslaving people. They're doing it just because it's the only way that they can kind of thrive.
I
But
mean,
I don't know.
it's-
yeah,
Steve Bruce
we-
seems like he's in it for the fun of it.
Yeah, Visser 3 is just an asshole, though.
there's endless complexity we could discuss with this, but like,
Right.
I mean, even as I live and breathe here, like, obviously I'm talking to you guys with technology that only exists because of like some very, very bad things happening, and like, should we be doing something about that? Probably, but I don't think that I specifically am in much of a position to. But like broadly, yeah, we should be doing something about that. So, in the same
Yeah.
way, I think it's not
Holy
hypocritical
sirens!
to be
Sorry
wanting
if
to.
you can hear that.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not hypocritical to be wanting to stop the EX from their own problems. Like, it doesn't.
No, it's
become
not.
okay just because we're doing. Yeah.
It's basically like, any work of fiction where the animals have human intelligence and are like, fighting to save the forest that the people are cutting down. It's basically that kind of thing. It's like,
I recently read Watership Down, and
oh god,
yeah,
I have not read or seen that. I just know that it's very
It's
depressing.
infamous. Yeah.
it was less depressing than I thought it would be, but it touches on a lot of the like humanity's effects on like animals and their behaviors and stuff, and like, yeah, it's a very interesting topic.
But this is all getting ahead of ourselves here. I'm talking about the moral complexities that come up later in the series here. For right now, it's basically just these are the evil aliens that are fucking us over. So fair enough. But what do we got? Just
Yeah.
a couple lines here if you want to read those.
Yeah, so Rachel kind of asked him about what happened at the mall, and he asked if anyone was hurt with the glass, and she says, no, everyone was fine, but what were you going to do if Marco had missed with that baseball? You would have hit the glass awfully hard. And it just says, I didn't know what to say. And I'm like, yeah, probably because that was a failed suicide attempt that we're just not talking about because it's a kid's book. But, there's those dark topics coming up again. And then there's another good line. We don't have to go through with that, Rachel says. Yes, we do, I said. More than ever, I understand that. See, there are human beings all over, trapped in bodies controlled by Yeerks, trapped, unable to escape. Rachel, I know how they feel. Maybe I can't escape. Maybe I am trapped forever. But if we can free some of those others, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's what I need to do to stay human.
Yeah. And continuing from the stuff that I was saying earlier about like the combat trauma stuff, like Tobias is not only trying to make the most of his situation to do what he can to help protect others from having to suffer more at the hands of the Yeerks, but he's also in so doing that, he's kind of trying to reconnect with his humanity. He's defining and asserting that part of being human is about helping others, and that if he can do that, then that will help him feel more human.
Yeah. Well, and like, you think about it, like, humans are social creatures, and hawks are not.
Yeah, I mean, even by comparison, like whenever he meets whenever he sees the female hog, he keeps talking about how like she doesn't like understand what he did or like think of him as like, oh, that's the guy that saved me or whatever. Like she's just like, oh, fellow hog.
Yeah, well,
And
she's keeping an eye on him because he's in her territory.
Yeah, that's the other thing is he's always like, I got to make sure I don't want to encroach on her territory, but also she might see me as a mate. And he's like, do I see her as a mate? I don't know.
Right.
Casual bestiality struggling as a 12-year-old. It's all good.
Yeah. I meant to actually bring this up at like the beginning of the video, but all this talk of suicide, there was news between the second and third podcast here of Disney apparently picking up an Animorphs series.
Oh yeah.
I'm very curious how this is going to be handled. It's not that Disney can't make stuff with like, very dark like topics and violence and stuff, but I don't know. I wonder what it's going to end up looking like.
Yeah.
The old Nickelodeon show was incredibly hokey.
And old
John was better, yeah. And off topic, but apparently Fablehaven movie next year.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is apparently coming from a studio that is not very well regarded, I've heard. But, we'll see. I'm interested. I think we were...
I was saying we have to take a break from this podcast to have me read the book so that we can discuss that and then watch the movie.
Yeah, I even if the movie is terrible, we can at least have fun making fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully
it'll be good content either way.
Yeah, content.
Yeah.
Anyway, skunks.
So, yes, we're not going to hang out with skunks. So yeah, what happens is Tobias has been scouting the area out, looking for a place for everybody to kind of hide while they're waiting for the Yerks to show up, and so he finds this cave. He calls it a bear cave, and they're like, "Hold on, we're going into a bear cave, really? This is your good idea?" And he's like, "Well, no, there's no bears in there now. It's probably just like some skunks and stuff." And it's like, so we're going with skunks then. Okay, sure. And there's just like this whole,
the whole beginning opening part of this is just great.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, they all make it into this cave, and demorph and stuff. And the plan now is the ship is going to show up and it's going to suck up all this water. So if we can go through the water pipe and get inside the ship, then we can hang out and then wait until it's flying over the city, and then we can morph into combat animals and kick ass and try to uncloak it somehow. And so the way we're going to do this is we're going to morph into fish to go through the big pipe, and so we need a fish. And it's a very ambitious plan.
To fish that day.
Yeah. Spoilers, the plan doesn't work. But yeah, this is a very ambitious plan. There was a lot of things that, would need to go right for this to work. But, yeah, they need a fish. And so they brought, they said, Tobias had, this little pouch with, some fishing line and, lures and stuff in it. And so they're like, all right, we got to catch something in the lake. We have a few hours. And nobody has really fished before. And they're taking literal hours to catch this thing. And the problem here is that Cassie and Marco both have an osprey morph, which is a bird that is basically designed by God to catch fish out of the water, and they never think to use this.
Yeah.
And you'd think Cassie would know about this. She's the animal person, but
this is exactly the type of shit I was talking about earlier with just unnecessary risks. Do this in advance. They address this later. I know they feel like they could run out of time, to do this at any minute, and they'll move on.
Yeah, they're worried that they're going to move on to a different water source.
But they're just objectively reducing their chances of long-term success here. Like, they don't need this specific plan to work. They can come up with other stuff. Like, they might lose their opportunity to do this, but what would also lose their opportunity to, be able to help the situation is if they all get fucking killed or captured. Like, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. But then again, teenagers aren't very good at thinking about long-term consequences on account of, not having their brains fully developed. But
Yeah. Well, and also in their minds, like, everything involving the Yerks is an urgent matter that needs to be dealt with, like, immediately.
Right.
Because
Like, I don't
they're
get
the
that.
only ones that can deal with it.
Yeah, it's like with this one particular, it's just like, they're getting water, stop them. It's like, no, that they're not trying to stop them here, but this is an opportunity for them to, strike, and
Right.
so they're like, yeah, we gotta take it.
Also, I thought about this later, but if the lakes are getting drained that fast, I feel like they would get picked up on satellites, even in the 90s. Have they infiltrated NASA? Are the astronauts and the ISS controllers?
I don't know. I'm not... It's unclear how far they've spread beyond just this one city. Like, when we get to, fucking book 20, we're gonna see the possibility of, like, world leaders becoming controllers and all this shit, but, yeah.
Marco makes a joke about the fish having an IQ of 4, and just putting aside the fact that it's not really a very meaningful metric, I still like the notion that a fish would have a non-zero number.
Yeah.
Like, what, it just fucking flops around on the keyboard and accidentally answers a question correctly, like...
I guess. So, yeah. After several hours, they basically just have no time left before the ship is probably going to arrive. Because I think the thing shows up at, like, sundown. I had a whole big note in here that I started writing and then deleted. Because I'm like... So this thing is like, it's a lake somewhere in the forest in the mountains. It's like an hour away. They said it's like maybe 20 miles. I'm like, is nobody able to see this Delaware-sized ship landing, like, even from that far away? And so then I, like, pulled up Google Earth, and I'm fucking looking at, like, a mountain with, like, a town nearby, and I'm like, would that be feasible? I'm like, okay, 20 miles is actually more than I thought it was. Okay, maybe they're not seeing it. But, it's landing in... Either way, they're landing in sundown. It's probably, like, timed so that, like, we can't really see. But...
Yeah.
Fucking anyway, they... Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, you go.
They catch the fish, and so they all acquire it, and it's like, alright, well, we basically have no time to test this, so let's just go. And...
Horrible.
Guys.
Yeah, they have this brief moment, it's like, maybe this is a bad idea. It's like, no, they might... what if they don't come back? We have to do it now.
This is clearly our only chance ever to do mild damage to the Yerks.
Yeah.
Like, literally, this wouldn't even be, like, a big thing. Even if they destroyed this ship. Like, it's one ship that they've already...
Well, they're not trying to destroy the ship.
probably
They're trying to
Yeah.
expose it to witnesses.
I suppose that this...
Yeah, which is a plan that comes back several times again after this. Look forward to number 11.
Makes sense, I guess. I like this line at the start of chapter 19 that reminded me of something. It says, I mean, come on, how many kids have to worry about all their friends becoming fish? So I just posted the, I think the DVD box of, Help, I'm a Fish, which is a movie that even as a kid I thought had a really stupid name.
Yeah, what the hell is this?
Have you not seen it?
No, I'm seeing it apparently has Alan Rickman, though.
It does, yeah, he voices the villain. And I also discovered today when I was grabbing the picture of this art that apparently the jellyfish is voiced by a then unknown Aaron Paul, aka Jesse from Breaking Bad.
Oh, good. So, yeah, they're arguing about the plan again, and Tobias flies out to see if anybody's coming, sees the female hawk, has, like, this whole bit where he's just like, I'm not sure if hawks mate for life or if they mate for a season, but but that doesn't matter because I'm not a hawk. Fuck that. And, it's just kind of like ruminating over this. And then he notices the vehicles arriving. And so he's like, okay, everybody get back in the cave. But, they don't really have enough time to do it. There's a helicopter heading that way. And so Tobias is like, well, I have to, find some way to distract them. I know. Let me fucking fly into it. And
literal death wish.
Yeah, so he just kind of flies, like, essentially straight into the, like, front of this helicopter, and it says, like, the pilot barely fucking swerves out of the way, and so, like, he, hopefully provides enough of a distraction for them to not see anybody going into this cave. We got, let's see here. The ship shows up. You have a comment here, which I'll get to in a second, because I don't remember the actual order of events here. But normally the big ship arrives with 2 bug fighters, which are just kind of like the, generic, like, I don't know what you'd call them. Like, they're like the generic fighter ships, just kind of like they're small ones. Normally there's a couple of them. Now there's 4. And also, Visser 3's blade ship is there. It's like, oh, god damn it.
Today of all days.
Yeah, Visser 3 is there. Visser 3 is always there. Let's just move on. Oh, no, actually. Yeah, I like this part. They're, like, everybody's just super on edge, because I guess somebody probably reported... Yeah, somebody reported, like, oh, a bird gouged out a Hork-Bajir eyes and saved this guy, so obviously the Andalites are here, so you gotta bring in fucking Visser. And so everybody's like, paranoid of everything, and it says, someone fired a Dracon beam. I looked and I saw a deer in mid-leap sizzle and disappear. And I'm just annoyed at the inconsistency of these fucking lasers, because sometimes they just kind of burn a hole through something, and sometimes they'll just disintegrate an entire animal. They probably just have different settings, but I swear there's parts where, like, they'll get hit by one, and it just kind of, like, cuts this clean little, like, slice through them, but then, they're otherwise, they don't just disintegrate. I don't know. So... Well,
I mean, one of them fires a beam that, like, misses Tobias, and it just, like, makes a tiny itty-bitty hole in the thing, but then another one, like, incinerates a deer, an entire deer. So.
And so, you had questioned here, I guess, we'll just go ahead and
Okay. I was concerned that the Yeerks were going to be on the lookout for Tobias, because, like, if they were smart, a normal hawk would not attack like that to save a human, and now they're charging right at the helicopters. Mm-hmm. And I was like, also, how are they going to get into the lake as fish? Because now the Yeerks are already here. Like, are we relying on Tobias to carry them here?
I'm not sure what the original plan was, because we're about to find out what the current plan is, but I think originally they were just going to kind of meander down to the lake and just, morph as fish while standing in the water and just kind of hang out for a while. But
fish, like, immediately.
The problem is, like, they didn't know exactly when the ship was going to show up. Like, what if they had become fish and then were waiting there for, like, an hour and a half and then it appears? Like, at that point, it would probably be too late. So, I don't know, whatever.
Bad timing.
So, Tobias sees the blade ship arrive. He goes to tell the others. He's like, yep, fucking Visser 3's here. And they're just like, oh, well, fuck that. We're not doing it anymore. But, Jake and Rachel apparently want to press on. They're like, we gotta take this risk to make sure they never become a problem again.
No.
Well, what you wrote. Considering there's like 50 more books, I'm guessing the risk doesn't pay off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then Marco has a fucking excellent line about Visor 3 being there. He's like, he's here to kick butt on his boys, Marco said, trying to sound tough. I'm like, I don't think this sounds as tough as you think it does.
Yeah, that was a pretty shitty line from Marco.
Kick butt on
Meanwhile,
his boys.
Meanwhile, Cassie is sad about the deer that died. She's like, a deer? Those stupid jerks. Deer never hurt anyone. And I just said, doesn't stop Louis C.K. from hitting them.
God.
I would shoot a baby deer in the mouth and feel nothing. I would just be like, oh, hey, it's dead. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so then they start discussing the plan. They're like, well, fuck, the Yerks are here. What are we gonna do? And then Cassie's like, there may be a way. See, a fish can survive out of water for a couple minutes, and the fish we're morphing is small. She looks at me. Small enough for a red-tailed hawk to carry. And I'm like, oh, okay, so it wasn't the original plan, but it sure is now.
Yeah,
Because a hawk dropping 4 fish into a lake isn't suspicious at all.
yes. So the plan currently, just to recap, is they're hanging out in this cave, which is surrounded by like a bunch of bramble and shit. And they're going to morph fish out of water in the cave, and then Tobias will grab this fish. They said it's like a trout, and it's like 10 inches long. It's a, fairly big fish for this hawk to be carrying, considering that, like, a chapter ago, they said that he had this little pouch with, like, a couple ounces worth of, like, fishing gear, and that was slowing him down. So, he's supposed to carry this thing out into this group of incredibly paranoid individuals that are on the lookout for any animal, but especially a suspicious-looking bird. With lasers to just drop this fish into the water and then go back and do it 3 more times.
And like, hawks don't eat fish. This is not things that hawks do.
Yeah, and they're hoping... Yeah, I have a bit here where it says... given they vaporized a deer earlier, I don't know if it matters if they know that hawks don't eat fish, because they're just paranoid in general. Anyway, they go through with it, so once again, Cassie goes first, and every other time that she has morphed, it's always described as like, she finds a way to make it look elegant. Everybody else is, horribly disfigured and disgusting, but she'll, like, just change one body part at a time and make it look nice. And it's like, nah, it didn't work for the fish. She just, looks fucking awful, like, and just, flops to the ground, and is shrinking down, and they're just like, you okay? And she's like, so far, I'm still breathing air at least. Oh, there it goes! Oh god, water, please! And so, he has to fly out, drop her in the water, and I think it's even specifically mentioned that somebody is like, oh, hey, a bird. And they just don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn
They
it.
gotta be incompetent for the plot, I guess.
Yeah.
I just made a comment that, like, I think that being a fish would be cool, but, like, a bigger fish that isn't going to be eaten by other fish.
Yeah, and so I said, how about fish like mammals? We're going to be getting dolphins and a whale next book.
All I could think as they were doing this is I'm like, okay, they're actually going up to the ship now. I really hope they have flying morphs to get down early, because I know a couple of them were mentioned, but I couldn't remember.
I'm pretty sure they all do.
Yep, they've all got a bird of prey.
Yeah. Okay.
From the first book.
Can't remember.
Because Tobias was helping them learn how to fly or something.
Second book, actually, but yeah.
Okay.
So, anyway. So, yeah, he continues with the plan, gets 3 of them out of the cave, and then Rachel is the last one to do it, and she is almost completely fish. By the point that a couple people come up to the cave, or it's one human and one Hork-Bajir, and they're just like, hey, we haven't seen this before, let's check it out, loudly, warning them ahead of time. And the Hork-Bajir says, and I quote, he gulfert you and eat your lolcath. Ha ha.
I don't even know what that's supposed to mean.
Yeah. I don't know. I had to include that one because, like, what the fuck. And so, yeah,
Say less.
he grabs Fish Rachel, dives straight at the human controller's head, just to kind of catch him off guard, and then fucks off. And they try to hit him with a Dracon beam, but it misses and it hits the ship, and carves like this little hole through it.
This is one of the points where I found it funny because I was writing the plot synopsis points as I was going, but also writing out like my thoughts as well. So I wrote out, maybe they'll succeed without having to board an enemy ship through water pipes. That would be ideal. And then immediately after I write, Jake is the first to go up the water pipe.
Yeah.
I'm like, that made me laugh.
Yeah, so yeah, they're all in the lake. It's, slurping up the water. They start to go up into it. Jake says it's like being sucked up by a straw by a giant. I said, or being a snake getting sucked up into a vacuum cleaner.
I can't fucking remember what that's from.
That was from the first book when they described the tail of the dog, like, getting sucked back up into his body when, like, morphing back to human. Like, very stupid comparison.
Yeah.
So, there's just me smacking my desk for no reason. So they all get into the ship, and it's, they're communicating with Tobias outside, and just like, there's a gate there's like a grating at the top of this tank. I guess we'll wait until it fills up more, and then we can, hopefully open it and then do stuff. We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah, good plan.
Yeah. Marco, keeps saying, like, do you realize how insane this is? He just says insane, like, once every 2 sentences, essentially.
Yeah.
So, while he's waiting for all this to go down, Tobias sees the Hork-Bajir that accidentally shot the ship earlier getting horrifically murdered by Visser 3, because, of course, that's what he does.
Murdered so badly that Tobias doesn't even describe it. He's just like, this is my cross to bear.
Yeah, he's like, this will be my personal nightmare. I won't make you have to live through it. It's like, Jesus, what did he do?
Like, okay. Because V3 can't go 2 minutes without killing his own guys.
Of course.
Yeah. And, he doesn't hear what's going on, but he kind of can piece together by seeing what's happening here that probably several people have reported suspicious bird activity, and so they know that something's up, and so they have sent out some patrols.
Yeah. I like the line, he had lost his freedom to the yerk in his head. Now he was about to lose his life for something that he had no real control over. Like, I never really thought about that aspect of it, how, like, that does really fucking suck, because innocents are losing their life, not just their mind, just because the thing in their head fucked up.
Yeah. So my comment here was just that, as we get more and more of these missions where they'll be attacking the Yerk pool and stuff, the Animorphs do kind of go out of their way to try to avoid killing human controllers. But they don't really hold back at all with, like, the Hork-Bajir and the Taxons, and so I'm pretty sure the Yerks do kind of catch on to that at some point and notice that something's weird, because they're like, Andalites wouldn't care. But
right.
I don't remember when this happens. So he notices that the Yerks are killing every bird in the area, and so he's worried about the female hawk, because this was her territory. And then he gets spotted, and they try to fire at him, but he realizes, that guy got killed for accidentally shooting the ship. If I land on the ship, they won't shoot at me, because none of them are going to want to have to risk, accidentally hitting it and then getting killed. So he's like, well, I guess I'm landing on top of the ship then. And
it works.
Yeah, he goes up there, and there's, like, a bit of a stalemate for a while, and then Visser 3 tries to intimidate him. He's like, if you give up, I don't know. He says a bunch of shit here. You have a quote later.
Yeah.
And let's just go for the quote now.
Okay. So essentially, like he speaks into Tobias's mind directly for like the first time, and it's incredibly jarring. But he says, "Give yourself up, Andalite. I will give you a quick and painless death as soon as you tell me where the others are." I had seen what Vizier 3 did to the Hork-Bajir who displeased him. The memory was fresh in my mind. Have it your way, Andalite. I am patient. I can wait here for as long as it takes, and then you will die. Quickly by Dracon Beam, or perhaps, if we can snare you, more slowly here in my blade ship. Much more slowly. I'm like, bro, chill. This is a kid's book.
Yeah. So, that's going on. There's just all this pressure. He's basically just cornered on top of the ship, and he's just like, there's not really much I can do to get out of here. This is kind of fucked. And then Rachel Thought speaks to him. She's panicking. She's like, we've reached the top of the tank. The gate isn't opening. We're stuck in here. And
all your friends are dead.
My thought here is, could you just go back to fish and, fall out the bottom? But maybe they've, closed the hatch or whatever. But yeah,
gorilla morph, an elephant morph, break the glass, anything.
Is there glass? I don't know, but I kind of imagine that they're just in this metal tank with, I don't know why there's a grate at the top, but whatever. Either way,
I mean, still, an elephant should be able to get out of a metal anything.
If it's floating in water, I'm not sure, but would it float or would it sink? It's good.
Elephants can swim.
Yeah. Anyway, either way, they are trapped, or at least think they're trapped, and so she basically tells him, we don't want to be taken alive. I don't think we have a way out of here, so if there's any way that you can take out the ship, do it. And he's just like,
yeah.
Well, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the line here. It's just, we can't get out. Listen to me, we're trapped. There's no way out. Basically just said. She said, we don't want to be taken alive. My blood ran cold. My head was whirling. What are you talking about? Listen, Tobias, we can't be taken alive. Do you understand? If there's anything you can do. And then he says, Rachel, I never told you. You didn't have to, Tobias. I knew. Goodbye.
I love you, I know.
Right. I forgot how hopeless it got at this point, because it's like... It's like, maybe your plan fucking sucked.
Yep.
Well, truly, they did absolutely no reconnaissance. They had no idea what they were going into. They're just like, yeah, let's go into this alien ship through the water pipes and hope we don't run into any problems.
I can only hope they learn from this and don't act quite so recklessly in future, but I know they're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I think they get a little better. It won't be too long before they actually have a successful mission. They're not just constantly bumbling like this. But you would think that, while I'm bitching about the plan, it's like, maybe it would have been smarter to have only one or two of them go in case this kind of thing happened. I don't know. But so at this point, Tobias is just he has nothing left to lose because he thinks that all of his friends are going to die. The Taxons are now crawling onto the top of the ship, approaching him, and he's just like, I've been backed into a corner, and I'm gonna fight. And so he, basically, I'm trying to imagine how this is going down, because, he's perched on top of this ship, and then I have to imagine just, just kind of somehow fucking darts at the Taxon with the gun. He can't fucking get into the air that fast. They're just gonna shoot him immediately, but he succeeds somehow.
Drama.
Yeah. He swoops in and manages to steal the gun. And the Dracon Beam. And, Visser 3 has this special knack for shifting very quickly from being like this, actual menacing, scary villain to just this like toddler throwing a tantrum when things doesn't go his way. Because like it's especially funny whenever shit like this happens, where it's like Tobias should have just died here. I don't know how he gets out of this, but he does, and he's just like, "Fools, stop him!" and he just starts whining, and he's just like, "I'll have all your heads."
It's like he never prepares for anything to go even like a little bit wrong, and the second that something does, he loses all control, and he starts blaming everyone around him. Like, it's never his fault, so he just starts like killing everybody who's nearby, which also doesn't help.
Right. So the ship starts to take off, and he's like, basically struggling to kind of hang on to the top of it, and somehow pulls off this maneuver where he kind of like launches up into the air, like close to the front of it. Like he can see there's like it's described as plastic, which we're going to question in a second here, but like, yeah, he can see through. There's like the bridge. There's like, some guys piloting the ship or whatever. He like launches up and like somehow like, fires the gun with his talons and like, vaguely aims it towards them. And he like cuts a hole through like the control panel and like slices attacks on in half. And then he's just like, well, I've done everything I can do. And
and then just like
drops the gun, falls out of the sky. It's, a little hard to believe that a Hawk is doing this, but we gotta have our action scene, I guess.
It's no worse than the combination lock earlier.
I think it's a bit worse than that, but yeah, because the thing is, like, he's dragging himself across the top of the ship, and it's like, bro, you don't have arms. What are you, like, you have two little clawed feet, one of which is holding a gun. Like, what are you doing? Like, is the top of this ship just conveniently, like, does it have a bunch of ridges that you're grabbing onto? I don't know, but
yeah, he mentions the transparent plastic, and I'm like, plastic? It's interesting to me that they have, the EX have access to a material that's synthesized by people. So either another species, or, EX themselves, independently discovered plastic for them to make use of, or they're actually manufacturing some of their ships on Earth, which, this is all assuming Tobias is even correctly identifying the plastic in the first place, but...
yeah, it could be anything.
That's interesting. And then he also mentions that the gun had no recoil, unlike a regular gun. And I'm like, has he fired a regular gun before? He says like not like a regular gun at all. So it kind of feels like he's like maybe familiar with it.
Maybe he could have.
He probably, at least knows that they're supposed to have a recoil, but it's possible he's fired one. I don't know.
Yeah, just what I was thinking.
It's an interesting question.
And so then we, this is the part where I don't make the reference correctly because I don't fucking remember like any of the plot from FF14. But this is the part where they like drop the dragon's eye into the cliff and it never comes up again.
Yeah.
Whatever. Pretend I made a reference there. But yeah. Thank you. But yeah, no. He loses the gun and. Yeah, you just got this note. It's like, you guys are finding that gun that he dropped, right? And no, but they don't.
They really should. Like, unless it's a one-charge only thing, which I don't think it is.
I'm not sure how these work, but yeah, he did what he could do. But yeah, anyway, finally getting back to not nitpicking shit. Yeah, he's managed to do a bunch of damage to this ship. He's carved like a giant slice through the side of it. And so a shit ton of water comes pouring out of this hole. And, here's 4 humans falling out of it. Very high up into the air.
Not suspicious at all.
Yeah, they go unnoticed. But, it says, yeah, we were maybe 700 feet up over the forest now when I saw them. Cassie first, then Rachel and Marco together, and then Jake. They fell fully human from the torn side of the ship. It's like, oh, great.
So, what I'm thinking now actually is, I didn't write this down, but if I was a Yeerk, and I knew that we kept getting attacked by these, I would just start installing like shit tons of cameras around all my like bases and stuff. Just, capture any information that we don't see and potentially get leads on them.
They do start putting in more like preventative measures and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. To be fair, this is only the third time that they've like had an interaction with them.
Yeah, and the second one was just, one of them happened to be sitting in on a hologram meeting.
Yeah.
So they all managed to morph Bird in midair and just narrowly escape, fucking dying. And so this again, I had to pull out the nitpicking again, and I'm like, is there any way in hell this could have happened? And no, there isn't. It's, Tobias says they're like 700 feet in the air. I don't know where he's getting that estimate from, but let's say it's correct. Morphing takes about 2 minutes, usually, is how it's described. Maybe a little bit faster if it's, like, in a panic. A skydive, typically has about 45 seconds of free fall going from 10,000 feet to 3,000 before they pull out a parachute. They would have had 6 seconds before they hit the ground here. They weren't fucking morphing in time, but whatever, they do somehow.
But cool.
Yeah, and there's just a little error here where they one of the birds wrong, but whatever. So the giant truck ship explodes, and all the animals in the forest are scattering, and what? Sorry, I'm trying to read what the hell the note here says. All the birds who had previously hidden during the earlier. Oh. Yeah, all the birds are flying away. And that includes, of course, the hawk friend. And then she's shot.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
like, you see, they'd had a good long look at me, and she looked just like me. The Dracon beam sizzled, it burned off a wing, and she fell to earth, never to fly again. I'm like, Tobias really gets a shit deal with this book. The whole mission started because he wanted to save this captive hawk, but then she ended up being like dying in the end anyway. That fucking sucks.
Should have just left her with Deal and Dan.
She get to star in lots of weird live commercials.
Yeah.
I'm curious if that's even a thing. Like, I feel like it shouldn't be.
I suppose she's also like symbolic of his like call to being a hawk. So like the fact that she's dead and he's like kind of like not given up on like it, but he's become more accepting of that like role in his life now.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So that's more or less the book. We have one more chapter, which is like, half a page. It just says that they managed to hide all of the evidence of everything. They disintegrated all of the parts of the ship that exploded and just kind of cover everything up. Tobias visits Rachel, and she mentions that they were thinking about trying to find the hawk and give her a proper burial. And yeah, we might as well just read the quote here. Did you want to do it?
Sure. So yeah, I'm like, this is like half the chapter, but
it really is.
I knew I was human when I realized how sad I was that she was killed. See, a hawk wouldn't care. If she had been my mate, I would have missed her, been disturbed. But sadness? That's a human emotion. I know it seems strange, but I guess only a human would really care that a bird had died. If you helped us look, maybe we could still find her body. No, her body will be eaten by a raccoon or a wolf or another bird, maybe even another hawk. That's the way it is. That's the way it is for animals, Tobias, not humans. Yeah, I know. That's how I know that you're wrong, Rachel, at least partly. I am a human, yes, but I am also a hawk. I'm a predator who kills for food, and I'm also a human being who grieves over death. She looked terribly sad. She's very human, my friend Rachel.
Yep.
So yeah, he just kind of accepts in the end that he is both, and that's okay. It's just a new thing.
Yeah.
Yep. And the book
I've gotten a
ends
couple of
with,
mentions of thermals.
yeah,
Yes.
like, yeah, literally the last two sentences of the book. Well, it's like, this whole thing, like, someday you may look up and see this silhouette of a bird of prey. Some bird with vast wings outstretched to ride the thermals. Be happy.
Just gotta get one last in.
Yeah, it says, "Be happy for me and for all who fly free."
I really like that line.
But yeah, pretty good book. I said that of the first 10, this is in contention for the best one. I'm going to say probably the second best. We have not gotten to the best yet, but it's a nice change of pace. It kind of has the same formula of, like, here's our failed attempt at doing something, and Visser 3 stops us, and then we kind of regroup and think about, like, well, we survived and we keep fighting. Like, there's a bit of that, but most of the book is just a kind of a character piece about Tobias and all the crap he's going through, and I think he, developed pretty well here, kind of came out changed by the end.
Yeah, I think it's a good tone change from the first two, because the first two is very much like, this is a new thing, we're changing into animals. They view it very much as like something that's fun and exciting and something that they're like excited to do. And then this book takes place from a character who got trapped in the very first book and is struggling with that, while the others are still kind of like excited by this new thing that's happening. Like, there's very different emotions coming into play from all the characters around, and like the characters who are happy and excited are kind of, they have that first brush with, oh fuck, we could also get stuck like this, like,
Yeah.
it can happen to us. Like, even though it did happen to one of them, they were still treating it as if like that's something that wouldn't happen
Like an
to
anomaly.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So,
a
like,
maturity
it's good.
bump, I guess.
Yeah, it was just, I like looking at it from a different perspective.
Yep. And as I mentioned earlier, the way that these books release, there is a pattern to who's narrating each one, and for some reason, Scholastic decides that Tobias and Axe get to share the the every fifth slot. We have like, Tobias gets all the ones ending with 3, Axe gets the ones ending with 8, and so we're not going to get to see as many of these, which is unfortunate, because his I think I described him in part 0 as being like almost kind of poetic. He's very in tune with nature by necessity, and just kind of has a unique way of looking at everything, and it would be cool to see more of that, but I guess it also makes it a little more special when we do get it.
I guess, yeah. I agree. This is probably my favorite so far. I was very compelled by his struggle. I also sort of towards the end here, like throughout, I've been getting a few different themes of like the combat trauma and stuff. But towards the end, when he was talking, especially about like kind of embracing the way that he rides that line between like human and hawk life, and the benefits and downsides of each, I almost kind of got like a queer reading from it. The way that his needs and his lifestyle have simultaneously alienated him from his peers and from what he used to be and the way his life used to be, while also kind of giving him a unique kind of joy and freedom that he didn't have before embracing it, which he yearned for to an extent. The thing about him always looking at the birds flying free and wishing he could do that, but still wishing that he could have that without the struggles that come with it. I mean, obviously, not going to get into it too much, but like, I'm trans and there's things that I love about that, but there's just random annoying difficulties, some that just come naturally through the circumstances, and some just from people being weird about it or whatever. And it's like I wouldn't want to just get rid of this and not have this and just be like a regular cis person or whatever, because it's a part of me, and I like that, but I just wish I didn't have to deal with the shit. So I don't know, I kind of see the like an interesting parallel there, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely a very good analogy, and I see a lot of that symbolism in it too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to more of these because I know that the Animorphs community is generally very LGBT positive, and Tobias is kind of like he is straight, but he's kind of seen as like a good role model for that.
Yeah, the character, a character doesn't have to directly just be written to be, gay or queer or whatever to still resonate with people on those themes. I mean, ultimately, we're all people with experiences that can reflect across. Like we can have similar experiences from different sources, I guess, is what it is. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Do you have comments up? I haven't actually looked in a while because I know last time we had a ton of comments that came in that I didn't see, so there might be some on this one I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even look at the last one. I forgot. I didn't send it to my book club either because I forgot. Obviously.
More of the usual of people just kind of enjoying the series and joining in on the I don't know, there's like jokes about thermals here and stuff like that as well. In terms of specific things, we're talking about like, indoor cats and outdoor cats, and somebody pointed out like, they can also be like ecologically a problem, killing birds and rodents and bugs just for fun,
like
because they don't need to do it for food. Yeah, and you mentioned Tibbles, which is a cat in New Zealand that apparently single-handedly killed off an entire bird species. I had not heard about that. That's kind of crazy.
That's wild.
I learned that from Bogleech's page on a Alolan Meowth, because apparently there's kind of a reference there.
I guess I probably did know that and just forgot about it because I have read all the Bogleech reviews. But and then they also mentioned, there's some crazy fox who go out of their way to like poison strays or whatever, so good reasons to keep them indoors and they don't need to go outside. So yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Now, if only we could get people to stop poisoning pigeons.
Yeah. There's another comment saying that given just how many books there are, I kind of expected them to adopt a Monster of the Week formula after the first one and not immediately hit with serialized plot lines and rather dark content for kids' books separate from the space aliens, and I see I was mistaken in that regard. Cool stuff, vaguely, way more of these podcasts. Yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised as well with kind of the complexity and like the serialized nature of these already so far. I know we are going to get some more fillery stuff later, but
yeah, that's kind of the thing is I would say it starts out with a lot of it slowly develops where the characters are getting more used to the situation and getting better at what they do, and we meet Axe and all that stuff, and then it kind of starts just going through the motions a bit, like it is Monster of the Week for a while. We have little arcs here and there, and then by the time it hits the Ghostwriter section, which is like around 27, I think, it really kind of just keeps doing that until like the final saga. Speaking of Axe, next book, that is when he shows up.
Oh, nice. I thought it was book 5.
Nope. I wasn't sure if I should just outright say that, but it's like, we know that he's showing up eventually, and it's that's
I knew it was soon.
That's kind of the hook. The next one is
the hook of the book.
The Message. We have Cassie becoming a dolphin on the cover, and it is the Axe book, basically. Like, well, sort of. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
You can probably do that one in June or July.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a break.
Yeah, I will try to be. I was part of the reason this was delayed, as usual. I will try to be a bit better, and my goal is to see if I can lead the note writing on the next one, maybe. But we'll see how it goes because I've got stuff going on as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
But like this didn't end up taking that much time. It's really just having like a block of it to be able to sit down and do it all, because I don't want to like spread it out over too long a time or too many sessions. Like the book is not that long to get through. I got through this in like 2 sessions that didn't feel that long. But
yeah, just to give a little behind the scenes here, it like the last two I kind of led the charge by taking the like main plot synopsis notes, and then it's like you two would just kind of fill stuff in, and that would take me a long time. And I was planning on still doing that with this one, but I just kind of kept putting it off. And I read through the whole book like probably like a couple weeks after we finished the second video, and then I would just, very slowly, it's like, okay, here's, stuff for one chapter, here's stuff for another chapter, and then eventually Nick is like, nope, fuck it, and then he just kind of went through and did it.
Well, there was one day where I had a very slow day at work, and I was, like, on a desk by myself for 4 hours, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna do Animorphs notes for 4 hours, and I got through, like, 10 chapters.
Yeah, the hard part is just kind of, figuring out what's worth putting in, what things are, best to make as like a, direct quote and stuff, but we'll figure it out. We just gotta get used to doing it.
Yeah. I don't mind, like, whoever is ahead doing them, like,
right.
We can
that's another thing to look out for, is because, I'm the one who knows the series, so I'm always tempted to put in these cheeky little references to things coming up. And it's like...
I kind of like those, though.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way I'm gonna remember about the raccoon spoiler of book 13.
It's not important, don't worry. But what about me, saying that we'll get another moment of like people getting, trapped mid-morph and struggling to get out of it in 21. I think I mentioned that.
I feel like it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't think any of the rest of these comments necessarily. I mean, we appreciate all the comments, but I don't think we would have much to say about them.
Right.
So yeah, see you for
See you for the Dolphin Cassie book.
Yep, in
right.
2 to 3 months.
Like, yeah.
Yep. H.